Welcome to a moment of intriguing introspection beyond the realms of fear, hesitancy, and doubt. Your deep dive into the questions of the ages, shared with the courage that may challenge perception, yet joyfully teases your conscious awareness to expand into this rare and unique moment. Beyond all sense of dogma, Master Lady Kira Raa calls forward the essence of I am as you are, offering accurate and timely self-ascension revelations with supportive wisdom. This is the moment to remember that peace, love, and joy are your birthright. With a deep exhale and a smile, relax and welcome Master Lady Kira Raa.
Well, beautiful and bright blessings, everyone, and welcome again to Expanding Consciousness. You know, I really am just sitting here with biggest smile on my face as we come together in this moment, especially after the journeys we've had so far. And I really encourage you that if you have not had the gift of either listening for the first time or listening again to the first two episodes of this series, please do. And leave me a comment and feel free to also ask me your questions. I am happy to bring them into this space of love, this space of connection, and this space of being with you. I want to invite you right now to let go of whatever has been going on, rattling around, showing up in your life field, because we are in a moment where as we bring our hands to our heart, just take in that beautiful, deep, nourishing Ave Saw breath, or just a deep inhale going in through the nose, Ave. Exhaling, Saw. And invite that smile into your face, that smile into your body, that smile into all the medicines. When we inhale and exhale with a smile, we ignite the wheel of the 5 medicines. We send a signal to our body that joy is our birthright. We ignite our emotions through the remembrance of joy. We relax the mind into knowing I am here. And thereby we look up and ignite our spirituality through our heart, which then reconnects us back to the physical, spinning that extraordinary wheel of this experience of this life, this form. And when we turn and gaze in the center, that's the courage. That's the moment. I want you to really breathe that in, turning and gazing into the center, becoming the witness of that which is the moment, that which is the experience. When we gaze into the center, we discover the courage to be in the center, to ignite that which in this field and realm of potentiality we refer to as consciousness. Let's really breathe that in. I am as you are. To really feel that relaxation, to keep breathing and smiling, to remember that every time you inhale, every time you exhale, what you're offering to all that you are throughout all of those 5 medicines is the courage to be the enlightened self, informed, conscious awareness. Now, I'm not just playing with words. If you're sitting there saying, wait a minute, Kira, wait a minute. What are you saying and why do you talk that way? Well, that's a show in and of itself. However, what I will share on the short answer to that question is that it was not too many years ago when the Ascended Realm started inviting that which I am as you are to really inhabit the energy of the Master informed awareness in this body. And to do so, to demonstrate and to open a gateway and a framework for you, which is why you're listening right now, to be able to do the same. And I struggled I probably struggled, oh my goodness gracious, close to a year, even though my beloved Shri was like, why are you struggling? He was always so extraordinary, affirming and aware more times than I was, as to what was consciously going on within that body that I am carrying now. And so finally accepting the energy of Master Lady Kira Raa took courage. And it took really the gift of what we're diving into today, of what we're expanding into as what humanity is calling forward. And that is steadfast commitment. I want you to really take a minute and hear that. How often do we talk about being committed, or I'm committed? We say that I'm committed, I'm here, you've got whatever. We say it in a moment where we are tied to one of the bodies, one of the, either it's the physical or the emotional or the mental or the spiritual or a combination of all of them, often spinning between each other. And so we often come forward with commitment, or the word commitment, or what we sense to be commitment through the lens or the filter, oftentimes of a spiritualized ego or another form of worldly experience that is commanding this sense of commitment that is honestly believed in the moment. And that's important to remember. Really take that in. How many go back through your past, or witness, that which is going on around you, and notice, are there those around you that were supposedly committed to you, or to something, or to some shared awareness, right? And if you've ever wondered, well, why, they said they were committed, or it felt like they were committed, or I thought, or whatever, number one, stop should've all over yourself, right? Let that go. In this moment of really pulling yourself into that center, into that conscious awareness, because that's what the 5 medicines gift us, the opportunity for conscious awareness. So as you pull yourself into that conscious awareness moment, gaze at one gift that you have just given yourself. It goes beyond the sense of arriving at any experience of commitment that would have a sense of obligation, or a sense of imbalance, or a sense of sacrifice. Remember that all sacrifice is an illusion. It's part of this world only. And when we can let go of the need for sacrifice, we become free to stand in the courage of our enlightenment in that center where we discover beyond our commitment, we embody the energy field of steadfast commitment. I want you to really breathe that in. Bring your hands to your heart even, and notice your breath. Let me just share that with you again. Just really receive that sequencing of words. Steadfast commitment. When you experience the energy, and as you adapt into the energy of steadfast commitment, what happens is that there is this sense of knowing. It is challenging to arrive into steadfast commitment when you are standing inside of a cycle of victim consciousness. Because it's through the cycle of victim consciousness that the 4 medicines that are spinning around the center are sustained. Within those 4 medicines, within the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body, looping back up into the physical and pushing that whole wheel around again. Within all of that exists the cycle of of self-sabotage. Hesitancy is one of the self-sabotage cycle elements. So there are 3 elements to the cycle of self-sabotage that keeps us stuck. And they are very simply fear, hesitancy, and doubt. Spinning within the 4 medicines itself, and really it spins outside of it. It's like when you're looking out, when you're turned the other direction, when you're not looking into the center, when you're looking everywhere else except the center, that's where this cycle exists. That's where fear, hesitancy, and doubt exists. And it is extremely important to remember that this begins with the physical body. Remember that the physical body is at the 12 o'clock hour. So most fear, hesitancy, and doubt begin when the physical body starts sending out signals that something's not right. And it'll pulse you in many different ways. And it'll start saying, hey, out of balance, something's not right, something's not right. And that physical body starts pulsing, and sending out those waves of impulse. And then what happens is that when the physical body is sending out those triggers, who's meeting it? Is your consciousness meeting it? Or what happens? We fall, so to speak, to 3 o'clock. So at this 12 o'clock moment of physical body, we then fall into the 3 o'clock moment of our emotional body. And the emotional body is the harbinger of the ego. The ego loves the emotional body because it's so easy to control and it can command it and feel really important doing it, right? So as the physical body shows up, and if consciousness is not there, it falls into this emotional body. The emotional body will immediately enter the cycle of self-preservation, which exists inside of self-sabotage. Because it will say, I at all costs want to sustain this moment of experience because this is that moment. Your eternal nature, your 0 point being, the all that you are, is sitting eternally waiting for you and loving you and having experience. And the whole time, regardless of what that experience is, it's loving it. So the more that the ego and the emotional body can bond, and the more that the physical body can feel in control by having that bond, the more it's not going to let go. It's like, please, oh my God, it's in fear all the time because it's in fear of losing itself because it doesn't exist outside of here. So this is why fear becomes the platform of this world of density. It's inherent in our nature. We are born with the fear of losing that which we are, because in this realm of existence, in this experience of density, in this experience of the 0 point energy field, in all of its neutrality, it's afraid of losing. And that's why it's so easy to build. So imagine right now, moving from that emotional body, right, that emotional ego body, you once again have a choice. Am I gazing outside or am I remembering my center? Am I going within? And so in that moment, if we gaze outside, we fall, so to speak, again to that 6 o'clock position, which is where the mental body, the brain of this form, begins justifying all of the energy that has been co-created through the physical and the emotional. It's like a child looking for a parent, and it's running wild and it's afraid, and in that fear it begins to doubt itself, and in that fear it begins to hesitate, and in that fear it is afraid and it lacks the courage to look within. So it goes again and says, help me mental body, help me brain. And in that moment we dive into that 6, the 6 which opposes the 12, right? The 6 and the 12, the physical and the mental, looking at each other saying, yes, we are going to bond. We are going to stay together. We are going to justify why we are the way we are. We're going to hold that. And in that holding, in that fear, because it's all based on fear, we stay in this cycle of self-sabotage, fear, hesitancy, doubt, held into a strong alliance with that pyramid energy of victim consciousness. Because in order to sustain fear, hesitancy, and doubt, in order to really lock and unify physical, emotional, and mental, we stand in the energy of the victim, the rescuer, and the abuser. Those 3 energies sit inside of that cycle of self-sabotage. Remember, its own trinity, however, spinning like a circle. Whereas by the time we come into victim consciousness, it's a pyramid energy, it's a triangle energy, it's a trinity aligned with sustaining, because they all serve. And so they all have their role, and each right now is having an extraordinary heyday. This is why those 2 spirals of 2024 are spinning up and down. Now, if you didn't know what that means, go to shriandkira.com right now and get the 2024 Mastery Planner calendar for this year, and you will understand a lot more. So going back to, we are now sitting at that 6 o'clock position with the mental body. We begin at some point to notice that we're not feeling that great. We need a coping mechanism. We're feeling afraid, and we want to be able to feel more comfortable with our fear. We want to be able to feel okay about what we're feeling. And oftentimes, this is that first lift. This is that first wake up. This is that first moment where we see beyond that, which only is in that first root chakra of make me safe, make me safe, make me safe. And the only way I know how to feel safe may have this pain. It may involve this victim, rescuer, abuser, but it's the pain that I know. And in knowing that pain, it makes my fear feel safe. And then there comes a moment where you remember, wait a minute, I'm more than this. And I see people around me knowing they're more than this. And that's the first moment we look up. And that's when we find that 9 o'clock position, which is our spiritual self, our other than this self, that moment of seeing beyond this. Whatever that this is, it doesn't matter. You can call it anything you want. Insert your own word for spirituality. But what it is a moment that lifts us. And it lifts up so much that once again, this is now the 4th time you're invited and say, okay, now I feel safe enough to gaze and turn in the center. I'm ready to gaze into the center. Or you look outside and once again, the self-sabotage is there. The fear, hesitancy, and doubt. You were feeling really good. Things were going really well. But sometimes when we achieve our dream, when everything we've ever wanted is staring at us, when we're ready to be that which we are, when all we have left as a barrier is to gaze honestly at ourselves, that's the moment that we shoot up from all of this new energy and can dive right back into the physical again, thereby repeating the cycle. Or we come into the center with hands on heart, with that deep breath that enters into a smile, and with the knowing, I am as you are. To stand in consciousness is where we begin the gift of coming into this form through the gift of our conscious awareness. And I want you to really breathe that in. The gift of conscious awareness. So as we look at those 5 medicines and we see, okay, every time my physical, my emotional, my mental, my spiritual, all of those experiences are calling me to stay in the center. Because remember that those 4, without the conscious awareness of standing in the center, those 4 are constantly I'm not going to use the word at war with each other, but they're all competing. They're all competing for that, for you. They're competing for you to be. That's breathing again. Just take a moment and let's really pay attention to the cycles within the cycles within the cycles, because the cycle of ascension. And remember, I always giggle at this smile. Many, many years ago, Shri and I put out an article in one of the magazines. And one of the things that was in there was the reminder that you're ascending from the moment you're born, from the moment you're conceived. You're ascending, you're shifting. You will constantly be finding new ways of being. And in those new ways of being, you will constantly, in this field, be moving through the cycle of ascended consciousness. And the cycle of ascended consciousness will always flow in the same way: awareness, experience, choice. Now really breathe that in. Awareness, experience, choice. You are going through that with every moment. Your consciousness, your level of consciousness will always be your veil. And it will always be bringing you to an ever greater and refining experience for an ever greater refined choice. That all begins with new awareness. This is the spiral. This is how the sacred spiral remains actively, creatively present in this field, this very specific field of potentiality. The amazing news, the good news is that in this field of potentiality, in this experience of potentiality, we have already gone further than we have ever gone before. I mean, really take that in. We have arrived further than we have ever gone before. With every conscious breath, we have collectively expanded consciousness beyond where we have expanded it before, regardless of what your experience of past lives and remembrances are. Smile into the knowing that we have already achieved something extraordinary. Enlightenment is 99% the courage to get there. And I really utilize it as N-I-N, light, L-I-G-H-T, in mint, the enlightenment of this body of form. We are ascending from the moment we take our first breath. And in that experience, in the awareness that brings us to that experience, we are at a moment, a collective moment, where we all have the choice right now, as insane as it may sound to some, to actually carry our full conscious awareness to command this body of form right now. This experience of enlightenment, this experience of conscious awareness, is why over many, many eons of recorded history and verbal history and remembered history of this field of potentiality, this physical body of form has had a hard time adapting to the frequencies that are animating it. If you've ever been with anyone that's transitioned, as my beloved husband gave me the honor of doing in January 2024, January 18th, the minute the soul, the eternal presence, that mastery being, the second it fully surrenders out of the body of form, the body of form reminds us of what it is. It is simply a husk, a shell, a temple, a gift, a blessing that has one purpose: to serve you. Really notice how you receive that and breathe that in. The body is your servant. The mind is your servant. The emotions are your servant. All the spiritual teachings of this plane of existence are your servant, because they all exist for the exact same thing. They are a unified field that exists to offer you the opportunity to find that core consciousness. And in this potentiality, in this field, after all these years, after everything that we have been doing to create this, to give us the opportunity to see that right now, to be in that presence while consciously in this body of form. Really carry that in. To consciously, while in this body of form, be the walking, living presence, to be in the conscious awareness of the totality of that which you are as I am, lifting the frequency of the body into that which is a constantly restorative energy that receives through conscious awareness and is able to sustain, to regenerate, and to be. And to know that this is absolutely possible, and that it is new, or it is revolutionary, or I don't even know the adjectives to offer you, but it is a first in this experience, and you are here right now because you are capable of it as well. And it begins with steadfast commitment, because commitment is one thing. It comes from the four medicines. Steadfast commitment is a knowing that you arrive at through seeing the totality and the blessing of it all. And this is the gift of the sacred sequence of incarnation, which I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 2 and really call in and let it free you. Let it open your mind, expand your vision, heal your heart. Because after steadfast commitment, we are free to have focused awareness. Now, this is a challenge for many. Focused awareness is a big challenge because when we are aware, simply aware, often when we first become aware, it is such a huge opening that we can take lifetimes mastering awareness. And yet, if you are here right now, if you are falling upon this experience of listening to this podcast at whatever time and for whatever reason, then you're here right now because your awareness is already calling to you. Whether you're even conscious of it or not, that's probably why you're here. So how do you really call that in? How do you move, just like from commitment to steadfast commitment, how do you move from awareness to focused awareness? You move forward into focused awareness through the gift of knowing. And that gift of knowing through our steadfast commitment rises and calms the mental body from its need to question for question's sake, for its need to constantly be seeking because it doesn't feel whole within, and to invite in the gift of focus. So what does that really mean? Well, when you move into the center and you're able to really see and be, when you're able to go beyond that which is seeking to call you out, when you're able to have the awareness that focus is paramount, then you stop feeding the mind. You stop scrolling constantly. You stop doubting. You stop all the things that feed that hesitancy and that doubt and that fear, and you become focused on your awareness. The eternal smile, the transcendent nature that knows beyond that which is limiting. It is focused awareness. Really breathe that in. Because when you are in focused awareness, I call it my blinders, my crystalline blinders. I wake up every morning and I am serving, going, doing, able to put in 18 to 20 hours a day for a very significant period of time. And I admit to still becoming tired. I admit that there are times that the four medicines are doing their best to pull me out of conscious awareness. But the gift is how you navigate it. And to know that we are all navigating this. This is a first, that we are sustaining this level of ascended mastery, frequency of consciousness in body of form without the body having to transition. And I can share that my body and I are having many conversations, and that there are days it feels like my body may be winning. To carry this frequency is being done so that you can carry it, so that we can all carry it. To be in the recognition that focused awareness, steadfast commitment, focused awareness become the bedrock for complete trust. Not just trust. You see, look at the difference. Commitment, awareness, and trust are powerful, and where we all begin, and where we need to climb, and where we can get to when we start looking inward instead of outward, when we are not afraid to gaze at ourselves, when we can honestly and with all due humility and the smile that can love the ego instead of be ruled by it, bring our hands to our heart with a smile and deeply and with reverence go in and say, what in me invited this to be? What in me invited this to be? And then to smile, oh my gosh, what in me invited this to be? I'm smiling as I share this with you because it was 23 years ago, when I was on my knees before God. I had lost everything. And the next thing I knew, I was working in the back of a metaphysical store. And 3 months later, Sri Ramka appeared. And 22 years later, here I am, right now, loving you and honored to be carrying the gift of steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. I know that you are capable of the same extraordinary healing, integration, and profound gift of the law of instantaneous manifestation as much as I am, because I am as you are. I love you. I invite you to check out SriandKira.com. Be patient with me. We're in the middle of updating it since my beloved's departure. But join us for Monday Mastery. Be there for YouTube. official Sri and Kira. Check it out anytime. Know that you are the gift. I love you. Many blessings. Have a wonderful week.
Bringing a hand to your heart with a smile, soar into the gift of you and discover the yoga of self-ascension at shriandkira.com. Wisdom and clarity are your birthright. shriandkira.com and YouTube official Sri and Kira are waiting for you to enjoy.